In this video, I'm going to walk you through the basic MagPlus architecture in our unique dual layer system, which has two different layers with unique properties to each of them that can interact with each other in interesting ways to allow you to present some real touchscreen friendly, device native feeling content without really doing anything other than thinking about where you put things in your InDesign document. So first I'm going to show you some samples on my iPad. You're looking at my iPad screen here, just reflected up on my laptop screen using Reflection app. And this is a sample document that we've built to show off the various ways you can lay out MagPlus content. Now all of the layouts you're going to see here, you can download the raw InDesign files that were used to build these from our support site. You're going to see me referring to these in many of these tutorial videos, so you can go download those from the support site and follow along, tear these apart, see how they were built, rebuild them yourself to really get a feel for how these various options work. So first I just want to show you what it looks like in the end presentation, and then we'll pop in and look at the corresponding InDesign documents. So as I mentioned, MagPlus has two layers that you can work on in the canvas. One is the A layer and the other is the B layer. The A layer moves in free scrolling vertical manner. The B layer always moves in full screen slides. Now let me show you what I mean by that. This layout here you can see says multiple pages with no A layer. Now our layers can be used individually or together. So here's an example of a single B layer only design. Now when I scroll this up, you'll see that it's moving in full screen slides. If I scroll up only to there and let go, it's going to snap back to that spot because this B layer can only ever display in full screen slides. As I start to scroll up, it'll automatically snap to the next full screen. Now let me show you one that looks a little bit different. Here's one that is A layer only, so this one has no B layer to it. Now watch when I scroll up, this content all scrolls freely up and down. I can scroll as much as I want, I can scroll as little as I want. That's what the A layer does, is endless free scrolling on the user's standpoint. There are ways that you can, as a designer, make the A layer snap to certain places, but that's covered in another video called snapping. The important thing to know is that the A layer is free scrolling and the B layer moves in slides. Now as I mentioned, you can use these layers individually as you've seen here, or you can use them together. And when you use them together, the A layer is always going to come on top of the B layer. So here you see an example of the B layer being visible first, and now the A layer is coming to scroll up over the top of it. Now if I double tap the screen, I can turn that A layer on and off. That's a choice that you can have available to your users or not. Let's look at some other examples of how these can work together. Here I've got my image on the B layer, and I've got my copy on the A layer scrolling up in a nice vertical way next to that image. Now what's nice about this kind of layout is that unlike the print world, or even unlike a B layer only design where you have to always work within the confines of this screen, the digital canvas is infinite. You have as much space as you want. You don't have to fit everything into the screen, and users are very accustomed, especially if you help them along, to scrolling up and down with their finger to see content. So with this kind of a layout, you don't have to argue anymore about how many words you can fit next to a given image. I could scroll 4,000 words next to this single picture if I wanted to, and I can also do some nice design tricks like this cutout of the boot that you see here, or the way that bracelet kind of sticks out of the side. Now there's no rules to how the A and B layer are used. Here you can see the A layer scrolls on this side in a wider column with a little transparency over it. Here you can see a full screen A layer covering up that image completely as it scrolls up. The choices are really entirely up to you for how you use these two layers. It's really just a matter of where you put the content. So let's jump back into InDesign and see how these were built. We'll start with our simple B layer only design. That's this one that's moving in full screen slides. So let's pull up the right document. So you can see here in the MagPlus template, I've called up the guide bezel to show me what this is going to look like in the portrait orientation. Let me turn that off so we can look at the raw file. As you've seen in the other intro videos, the MagPlus template is very, very long compared to how wide it is. And that's because of that A layer. It's because you might want to have a lot of content scrolling over this image here. If you're doing a B layer only design, you don't ever have to worry about going below this bottom guide. This is the end of what's going to be visible on that B layer. This is your full screen, if I turn on portrait, that's visible to the user. So to get a B layer only layout that moves in these full screen slides, all I do is make sure that all my content is on one of these two B layers. Now there's B layers pinned blocks and B main content. The pinned blocks layer is for objects that you want to move dynamically when the user turns the device, so that you only have to do one layout that'll work in both orientations. That's covered in detail in the pinning video, so I won't go into it here. But the important thing to know is that all content put on these B layers here will move in the way that we've just seen in full screen slides. They won't scroll freely up and down. So this whole layout together will move up and off the screen as the next one moves into place. Now to get multiple slides, like we saw in this layout when we scrolled up and there were 3 layouts to it, or 3 pages rather in this vertical, is just a matter of adding more pages to your InDesign document. So you can see if I scroll down, here's my second page. Again, I fit all the content into the visible area here. There's nothing that extends beyond this because there is no vertical scrolling beyond this slide. And if I scroll in even further, you'll see here's my third page. So let's pop back out to the app and take a look again at how that looks. So here you see I've got my third page, second page, first page. That's 3 pages in one InDesign document. Now what about the A layer only? Let's go here to our no B layer design. Now in order to get this, it's just a matter of checking the right boxes here in the plugin. Either you want to turn the A layer off or turn the B layer off, or if those are both unchecked, you'll have both layers to work with. Now here I just need to make sure that all of my content is on this A layer. Everything that's on this layer is going to scroll freely up and down, and it's all going to scroll together. So you can see here I've extended my content, let me zoom back out, well below this visible area because the user can just keep scrolling and bring it into view. And you can see that I fit all the content I need to on this one single page. So when the user gets to the bottom of this, it's simply going to stop. They're not going to have any more scrolling to do. Now what about one where we've got both together? It's kind of as you'd probably imagine it would be by now. I've taken the stuff I want to be on the background layer there, and I've put it on my B layer. And then I've put my column of text here that I want to scroll over the top of this on my A layer. So if we jump back into our app and see how this looks, let's find our one. Here it is with our narrow A layer. So now you can see that that picture stays in the background because that's on the B layer, and my content that's on the A layer just slides up over the top of it. Again, the user can double tap to make that go away, look at just that image if they want to, and then double tap to bring that text back. Now, the other last thing to know about how these layers interact with each other is that movement on the A layer can trigger a new slide to come into the B layer. Now you remember when we said we wanted multiple B layer slides, we just put extra pages into our document? So you can see what we mean here. Let's take a look at how this looks on the actual device. Here we go. So I'm the user, I'm scrolling up, I'm reading the content. Now did you notice that when I got to a certain point there, just by scrolling up and down, that background layer changed? I didn't do anything extra to trigger that. It happened just by virtue of my scrolling the A layer up and down. So the way that we do that is by inserting another page or multiple pages, putting new B layer content on those. And the way that this will work is when the user scrolls down so that the bottom of the A layer crosses the midway point of the screen, that's going to tell the system to slide in this next bit of content, to bring in the content that's on the second page here, this next B layer slide. So let's start at the beginning and look at that again. So I'm scrolling. When that content there gets to crosses the halfway point, it brought in that second slide. Now again, here's the end of that content. Watch what happens when I get up to the halfway point. Boom, it slides in this next bit of content. So that's the basics of the MagPlus A and B layer design. I really encourage you to download these sample files, review them yourselves, move things around from layer to layer, just copy and paste them onto different layers, hit the fast review button and see how putting things on different layers changes the way that the page behaves and the way that the user interacts with it. Gives you a ton of flexibility for how you present your content on this unique canvas that you've got to work with.